that dribble penetration. Uh-oh.
Simmons, wild attempt. He put the English on it, off the window.
Defensively, but coaches will tell you, who cares? Nice pass.
Yeah, by Ben Simmons, dropping a dime on Harris for Ben's 6th assist of the game.
Ben Simmons was never supposed to be just a role player on an average NBA team. He was supposed to be generational. A 6'10" point guard with the athleticism of a wing, the passing vision of a Hall of Fame point guard, and the physical tools to guard anyone on the floor. And yet, early on in his career, it did look like he was gonna be generational. With him being a #1 pick, an all-star by 22, a defensive player of the year candidate over multiple years, and a core piece of the 76ers future. Due to these early achievements, he was meant to be a franchise cornerstone for the 76ers, but now he's an average role player and a shadow of the player he was once hyped to be. This is the story of Ben Simmons, a generational prospect who went from a superstar to someone who can barely hold a bench position. Ben Simmons was born in 1996 in Melbourne, Australia. But despite being born in Melbourne, Ben spent the earliest part of his life living in Newcastle, a smaller city in New South Wales. Newcastle isn't known for its notable basketball talent. In fact, it's a rugby and AFL town. And Ben, like most Aussie kids, grew up playing multiple sports. By age 7, he was playing competitive basketball. By 8 years old, he was on representative Aussie Rules Football teams. There's no doubt that even from a young age, the kid could do it all. But not only was Ben an athlete, his father, Dave Simmons, was a former pro who played over a decade in the NBL and even won a championship. But as Ben's height began to grow to a staggering 6'5" by the time he was 14 years old, it became clear that basketball was his calling. Although that transition wasn't easy, Simmons loved Aussie Rules Football. As a kid, he had always dreamed of playing footy at the highest level, but basketball gave him something else: control. As he would say in later interviews, basketball just felt right. He had the ball in his hands. He could dictate the pace. He could make his own decisions. By 15, he was training at the Australian Institute of Sport, competing in international tournaments and dominating local leagues competing against grown men. In 2012, at just 16 years old, he played for Australia in the FIBA Under-17 World Championships, putting up a solid 9 points per game and 6 rebounds per game, showcasing his raw, versatile skill set. But before we move on, I've got a bone to pick with all of you. My analytics show that just over 1,000 of you have returned to the channel in the past month, meaning that a staggering 90% of you aren't subscribed to the channel. So if that's you, what are we doing? Just click the subscribe button. It's one mouse movement that really does help me out a lot. So now that that's out of the way, let's get back to the video. At age 16, Simmons left his home country to move to Florida and enroll in Montverde Academy, a US high school basketball powerhouse. The adjustment was brutal at first, with him experiencing a new culture with new expectations and new pressure. But once Simmons settled into the US, his rise was drastic. By his senior year, he was averaging 28 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, nearly 5 assists per game, and had proven himself as a dominant presence on both ends of the floor. His team at Montverde went undefeated, and Ben was named the Naismith High School Player of the Year. On top of this, ESPN ranked him as the #1 prospect in the country. He was labelled as the next LeBron, a comparison not thrown around every year. And yet, instead of choosing a popular school like Duke or Kentucky, Simmons committed to LSU, which was a surprising move at the time. The decision was influenced by his family ties, with coach Johnny Jones being a close friend of the Simmons family. It was meant to be a place where Ben could play free, be himself, and grow with one of his family's closest friends. But his time at LSU didn't go quite as planned. Statistically, Simmons was phenomenal. He averaged 19.2 points, 11.8 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 2 steals per game while shooting over 56% from the field, while recording 23 double-doubles as clearly the most NBA-ready player in the college scene. But LSU struggled. They went 19-14 and missed the NCAA tournament entirely. Thanks to this disappointing college run, critics started to wonder, was Simmons too passive? Did he care enough? Why didn't he shoot? Why couldn't he lead his team when it mattered most? But none of that mattered when NBA draft night came around, as the Sixers took him with the first overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Philly was deep in their rebuild, and Simmons was supposed to mean the end of that. The franchise centerpiece, the next Magic Johnson with a jump shot, or so they hoped. Even the beginning of his career was unstable. He never played a game his rookie year. A fractured foot sidelined him for the entire 2016-17 season, and skepticism started to grow. Was this gonna be another case of injuries derailing a career before they even got started? Then came the 2017-18 season, and Ben Simmons had arrived. In his official rookie season, Simmons averaged 15.8 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists per game. He recorded 16 triple-doubles, second only to Oscar Robertson on the all-time list for a rookie season. He won Rookie of the Year, and Philly had a record of 52 wins and 30 losses, making it their best season since the Allen Iverson era. Alongside Joel Embiid, Simmons was leading the most exciting young core in the NBA. Over the next 3 seasons, Simmons became an all-star in 2019, 2020, and 2021. He led the NBA in steals in 2020 with 2.1 steals per game, earning himself a first-team all-defensive selection, and finished runner-up in Defensive Player of the Year. He averaged a steady 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists during that stretch while guarding every position on the court. But despite his all-star level play, the cracks were becoming more and more visible year after year. Simmons still refused to shoot from beyond the arc. Over his first 4 seasons, he took just 34 threes and made only 5. In a league dominated by spacing and shooting, this became a massive liability. To make things worse, in the playoffs, other teams would sag 10 feet off him and practically force him to shoot. Even his 3-throw shooting took a toll in the playoffs. A manageable 60% in the regular season fell off a cliff under the pressure of the playoffs, but nothing exposed him like the 2021 Eastern Conference semifinals. Facing the underdog Atlanta Hawks, Simmons' confidence evaporated. He averaged under 10 points per game, shot 34.2% from the free throw line, and in the now infamous Game 7, passed up an open dunk in the 4th quarter, a moment that Joel Embiid later called the turning point. And then after the game, when Coach Doc Rivers was asked if Simmons could be a championship point guard, said, "I don't know."
Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
After that conference semi-finals collapse, Simmons requested a trade. He skipped training camp, he blamed it all on mental health issues, refused to play for Philly, and became public enemy #1 amongst Sixers fans. After months of tension, he was finally traded to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for James Harden. But even in a new city, the same problems followed. Simmons didn't play at all in the 2021-22 season with back issues and mental health challenges. Big quotation marks on mental health challenges. When he finally suited up for Brooklyn the next season, he looked lost. He was hesitant to shoot, rarely attacked the basket, and didn't resemble the dynamic, fearless player we saw just 2 years earlier. He averaged just 6.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists per game, while shooting less than 1 free throw per game. And by the end of the season, he was benched in late game situations. To make matters worse, his back flared up again, meaning another surgery leading to more time off. By the 2024-25 season, Simmons played just 15 games. Then came the trade to the Clippers. Despite the new change of scenery, Simmons wasn't brought into the Clippers to change the team. He was brought into the team to make salaries work. So where does this leave him? At 28 years old, Ben Simmons should be in his prime. He should be a franchise leader, a perennial all-star, a player we talk about in MVP conversations. Instead, he's a sad tale, a reminder that talent isn't enough. Injuries, mental health, confidence, and fit, all of it matters. Ben Simmons still has the tools and skills, and in rare flashes, and I mean rare flashes, he still looks like the player we once believed in. But time is running out. If there's gonna be a redemption arc, it has to start soon. Because if it doesn't, Ben Simmons won't just go down as a bust. He'll go down as one of the greatest what-ifs in NBA history. So that's it. That's the story of Ben Simmons, one of the most complicated and confusing NBA stories of all time. Let me know in the comments if you think that Ben Simmons can make a return to an all-star level. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and goodbye.